All right, I've got my friend Trey Begin here with me today, and who is also one of our board members, been on our board of directors for some time now, and also the treasurer of the organization. So, Mr. Important himself, Trey Begin, thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate you being here, Trey.
It is my pleasure to be here. And right now I am avoiding hanging out with six beautiful little girls that are partying around my house somewhere. I'm enjoying my moment right here with you.
That's awesome. A lot of people don't know you have six kids, all girls. Man, you are some kind of guy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, some kind. That's right. No, it's fun. Our house is always full of parties and fun and laughter, and it's definitely an adventure around my house. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. I know we adore your family, and I've known you and your wife Leslie for many many years, and we've been friends for a long long time through when we were nobody and somebody. So it's been a long road, but man, I have to say I have loved being able to watch you guys grow through a distance and also just up close as personal friends, and so appreciate all of the wisdom. You have been one of these people that have always been willing to share the good things that you've learned with others around you. And I've seen you do that, not just with me, but I've seen you do that with a lot of folks just through the years, and really always appreciate your willingness to share. And one of the reasons why I really invited you here to speak to us on the summer leadership weekend was really to talk a little bit about what it's been for you. What are some of the things that you've learned in becoming a leader and growing as an individual leader, a very successful businessman and entrepreneur. You guys have just been through so many things that have really screamed success, but you've also gone through some rocky, rough days as well. And so I always feel inspired when I talk to you, and I thought, gosh, who else do I want to share with the world than some of my friends who have had lots of success as leaders? And so I'd love for you to just share some of those ideas with us today. And I guess maybe kind of my first question out the gate is, what do you think has been kind of the number one benefit? I mean, we're all kind of drawn into being a leader for one reason or another, right? And so what is the benefit of being a leader, and what have you learned as you've grown through and become a leader?
That is a great question. There's so many benefits of becoming a leader. There's so many things that come with being a leader that aren't great benefits, but there are so many benefits that come with being a leader. One of them is the opportunity to impact others, others' lives,
Mm-hmm.
and that is really. I would say that's the reason why I stepped up in the first place, to take the step into leadership. And it's a choice. We all lead at a certain level, but then there comes a time in life where you choose to go to the next level, and that takes it takes intentionality. It takes a little bit of losing ourselves. It takes a little bit of intentional learning. It takes a little bit of training. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of hurt. Sometimes it takes a lot of pain. It takes all of these things, right? But it takes a choice, and that choice it directly reflects or impacts other people's lives. And that's the reason why I chose to become a leader in the first place, because my life was impacted by leadership, and I want to be able to impact others' lives in the future. So in my mind, that would be the number one benefit of becoming a leader.
Yeah, that's incredible. You bring up a couple great points. One about just the thing that there are some downsides to it. I think, all of us, sometimes we get into a thing and you go, man, I want to change the world, and before you know it, you're like, I didn't know this all came with the package, and so you've got some hard days for sure.
Yeah.
But the old saying, it gets lonely at the top. I think the further you go in leadership, the more difficult it is to connect with people who are of like mind, who understand what you're going through. But one of the things I just appreciate so much about you is that word intentionality that you use. You have not only done that as a person who's grown in leadership from the beginning, but you also, I've noticed, as a really, I'm going to call you an elite leader. I think you are, because you have a consulting coaching business that you manage today that's very, very successful. You also have had other types of businesses that you've run that have all been very successful, and in many ways are running smoothly without a lot of your day-to-day interactions, because you are such a great leader. And so for some of those reasons, I've watched all of those things and realized that you have been intentional, not only when you're starting out at teaching yourself how to lead and learning how to serve others, but you also have been intentional about growing even as an elite leader. And so I appreciate that. I've taken some notes from watching you, and I think that's really key. But I guess kind of leads into my next question, which is, what do you think has helped really prepare you for leading in any capacity, whether that's at home, whether that's at work, in your business, and in the world around you?
Yeah. You know, in life, we sometimes, okay, I won't say we, I'm going to just say I, because I can't lump anybody into this. I just have to look, I have to point the finger at me. In my life, I had always, in the past, bucked, I've withdrawn from accountability, or from a figure of authority, if you will. And I'm not going to get into that part about why, but what I will say is that, the reason why I really believe that, or what's helped me kind of propel me into leadership, is that I recognize that with accountability, it helps me to, with vulnerability and transparency, it helps me to become the best version of myself that I possibly can be. And the best version of accountability is a paid for accountability. And so I've hired coaches. I've I've hired, individuals to just hold me accountable to different aspects, different places of my life, whether it's a certain business or a certain part of my life that I need some extra accountability in. You know, my wife and I, we have a marriage coach that we see on a regular basis, whether we're in great times or not. We have a business coach that we see, whether we're in great times or not. I have a personal life coach that I see, whether I'm in good times or not. And it's this paid for accountability that helps me take those steps forward every day. And it's because of the willingness of living a vulnerable and transparent life, and this accountability that keeps me moving forward towards that, desired future that we kind of have developed.
Mhm.
Does that answer that question? I hope that.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I think because what you're saying is, no matter whether you're just starting out in terms of trying to lead or learning how to lead, whether it's one person, whether it's just yourself. I mean, I think we take for granted sometimes, like, just learning how to lead yourself is a big deal. I mean,
Absolutely.
just that is where it starts for most of us. And so we start there, and whether it's just being accountable with a friend or with someone else, but there comes, with great responsibility, over time comes great cost, right? You have to be able to invest in your own future. And, I appreciate that about, how I think preparing for either the leadership that you've already, encountered, or the leadership that you're going into the future. You're still paying for a price to be able to see yourself go into the future. So that really helps a
Yeah.
lot.
And the other thing with that is, when you write down a goal, when you write down a vision, you bring up that part that it doesn't matter if you're starting off, it doesn't matter if you're at the level or past the level where I'm at right now, but it doesn't matter where you're at in life. You can always find a way to find accountability,
Yeah.
whether it's with yourself or with others. And finding accountability with yourself is writing out your goals, writing out your dreams, writing out what it is that you want to accomplish this year, this month, this week, and then being integrous with yourself and accomplishing those goals.
So,
And that is helping yourself be accountable.
yeah.
And then the next level is sharing that with others, whether that's a friend or a family member or somebody that you trust. That's another level of accountability. And then there's another level of accountability. It's sharing it with people that you don't really know that well. That's a kind of a scary level of accountability. And then there's another level of accountability, and that's like a paid for accountability where I'm paying people to call me, to get on Zoom calls, to
Yeah.
meet with me, to say, where are you at? Where do you want to be? How are you going to do, what are you doing here? Where,
Yeah.
where are you, where are you going to be next week? All of those things are levels of accountability, and you can accomplish all of those, or at least one of those, no matter where you're at in life.
Yeah, that's good. I guess it kind of makes me think of, and this isn't something that we really talked about before, but I do think that it brings up a good point though about excuses, right? Like I just think about we all have excuses. I have excuses. You've had excuses. Everyone has had excuses, and sometimes we like to make those excuses really sound pleasant by calling them reasons. But I mean, think about it. In this world that we live in, whether it's a business that you're trying to start, or whether it's a personal financial goal you're trying to meet, or whether it's whether it's just a family plan that you're trying to execute, whatever that is, we have a lot of reasons to excuse why we can't achieve those goals. And, I know for me, and we've talked about this some about how, even living with an expensive chronic disorder, that's been something that's been hard because the unexpected comes up a lot, right? But you have a chronic illness that you've lived with as well, it's very expensive, very difficult to navigate. You've had days where it's just like not happening. How do you handle that? How do you get unstuck when you feel like you're in a rut?
Yeah.
And what if the guy that you've paid to keep you accountable is calling and you're like, I don't want to answer this guy's phone call. How do you handle that?
Yeah, there's two things that I talk about with this. The first thing is I tell people that you can have excuses or results, but you can't have both.
Mm,
And when I tell myself that, it kind of hurts because when you tell yourself that, you're like, no, but I want to have an excuse, and this is really valid, and this is something that I can't control. And this is something that it really, like, it is real. There's realness behind that. But if you want results, you can't choose the excuse.
mm,
And it doesn't matter if that realness is real or not. It's if you want the results, you still can't choose the excuse. So
right.
you can have excuses or results, but you can't choose both. And the other thing that I've consistently asked myself or told myself is, when I reach an obstacle in life, right? When I reach an obstacle, I always look at it as an opportunity. And when we reach an obstacle in life and you look at it as an opportunity, then you start looking at it as a way of, well, instead of I can't do this, I look at it as, well, if I can't do this, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
How can I overcome this?
That's so good.
There isn't usually a place where I get to in life where there's not another opportunity around it or over it or under it or you know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
this, for instance, this is done a different way right now than
Mm,
it was done last year. This
right.
could have been a very big obstacle for hope.
Right.
Huge obstacle.
Right.
Instead of looking at the obstacle and sitting at home right now, we found an opportunity.
Yeah.
And you say, well, if it can't be done the normal way, what we normally did, how can we do this? What would this look like if we did it this way?
That's
And
so
then
good.
you're finding opportunity in the other avenues that are already there. You just haven't explored them yet.
Yeah, that's so
Because you
good.
always are fixed on that mindset of I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go forward. My roadblock is here. So if you're fixed on that roadblock, you won't find the opportunity because
Mm-hmm.
you're always fixed on that roadblock. So
And it really goes into belief, right? I mean, because at
yes,
the end of the day, what you're really doing is if you say, I can't do it, you're displacing your belief in what you're unable to do more than you believe what you can do. And so all you have to do is, in some ways, just restructure your thinking. We deal with that a lot with, especially guys that are in college. No offense to all you guys in college. But we find over and over again, guys are like, well, I know I have this bleeding disorder, but I'm going to go cliff diving, and you're like, I don't, there's this other list of things you can do that might be not so, challenging to your physical livelihood. And so, you might want to consider this list of things you can do, but it's kind of like sometimes people say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And what are the things that you go out and do? The very things you shouldn't be doing. So I get it. And I think that in leadership, it's the same. You've just got to you've got to realign your thoughts with what is possible, not what is impossible. And you'll start to really,
well, and it's also having a mindset of nothing's impossible.
that's good.
There's nothing that's impossible. It's just that I haven't found the way yet.
Mm, that's good.
And if I haven't found the way yet, I'm okay with that right there.
Mm-hmm,
It,
mm-hmm.
if I haven't found the way to do it yet, I'm okay with leaving it right there and not getting frustrated about not finding the way. But if I believe something's impossible, I get frustrated at that.
You
Like
abandon
I get mad at that sometimes.
it. Yeah.
And then that's just emotion and all kinds of crap that I don't want to carry.
Right.
But if I leave it at a place where okay, this is what I want to do, or this is where I see my business going, or this is the way that I want to do this or whatever. But I just haven't found the way yet. I can just leave. I can table it and leave it right there for a moment or a week or a month or whatever, however long I need to. And I can come back to it when I'm ready to put some energy and some emotional energy into it.
So good, Trey. You bring up such a great point with that, because there's so many times, and we've had this in our planning sessions with Hope. Sometimes you've helped us through some of these things, but there really is those moments where, and I think very few people highlight this, that there is sometimes where something's not quite coming together. Like it's like you're trying to sometimes you put the puzzle pieces together and it just slips in like cogs in a wheel and just works. But then there's other times where you put it in, it's like it just isn't, no matter how you align it, it's just not right. And sometimes the best thing you can do is just walk away from it, leave it, like you said, just leave it there, and then maybe come back to it a little bit later when you've slept on it or you thought about it maybe a little bit longer, and work on something else for a while. That's so good. I guess my next big question would be too, like, I mean, there's so many people, whether it's again, at home, you're trying to learn how to lead your own family, or whether you're trying to learn how to lead better at work, or you're trying to get creative. I mean, there's so many people right now in this environment that are stuck. They don't know what to do next. And so I guess, there's a difference between just being any kind of leader and being a good leader. And so I just would want to maybe ask you that question as well. What do you think, if somebody is wanting to lead in life, they're wanting to start to lead maybe in their sphere of influence, what is the thing that is going to really help them to become a good leader? What do they need to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you can start with why.
That's good.
Why do you want to lead?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's has a different why, and Simon Sinek has great stuff all over YouTube about why, developing your why, and all of that stuff. I would highly suggest checking out his stuff if you have any interest of finding out your why.
Yeah.
But I would ask, why do you want to lead? And then I would look at, what do you want to develop, or what is your desired future? What are you looking to build? What do you want to build in the future? And then surround yourself with people that look like that.
So good.
And then
So good.
the other part about that is, this is the biggest question that I get when I usually say something like that is, but what happens if I don't have those people in my life or around me or access to those people?
Right.
There's two things you can do. One, the internet is full of resources for you to be able to surround yourself electronically with people who have built or are building or are experts at all of these areas of life.
Yeah.
Full of it. I mean,
Right.
it's unbelievable how much resources we are on the internet in the leadership world. Two is, if you don't have access to it, build it. Build the circle of influence that you want to be around.
That's so good, Trey.
And that is, be the person that you want to be influenced by. Invite those people into a circle. Invite those people into a coffee thing when that is available. Invite those people into a Zoom meeting with other higher level leaders. Because you know what high level leaders want to do is, they want to meet with each other. They want to talk about leadership. They want to use best practices. They want to become more efficient. They want to become intentional. They want to become a better version of themselves. They want to become a higher level leader, and they love using each other to do that.
Yeah.
And they want to build on each other's successes.
Yeah.
So if you know what you want to create, you can start by finding these people that you want to be like around your community, and start trying to find a meeting or find someone that you can start meeting with to bring other people in. And when I meet with one of them, I always ask the question, who do you know that I need to meet that's like you?
That's good. That's a good one. Yeah.
And they always refer me to somebody else. So those are the couple things that I have about that.
I love that. I love that. I know, the old saying that leaders are readers too. It's not just about, maybe you can't spend time with, I know when I was in financial planning, it was like, I couldn't spend time with Warren Buffett, but I could read every book he ever wrote. I couldn't spend time with Benjamin Graham, but I could own his library, so I did some of that too. And what's maybe a book that you would say that you would just recommend to anybody that's watching right now, that's just kind of like, hey, I want to be an elite leader. I want to grow in my business. I want to grow in my work. I want to grow at home. What's a good book that somebody could read to help them with that?
Yeah. So okay. So I have two books.
Okay.
This is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So I had dinner with John Maxwell the other day.
Wow.
And it was unbelievable to sit across the table with John Maxwell and have dinner with him and be able to ask him questions. He's like a grandfather, and when he spoke, like, his words just go right into your soul. It's unbelievable.
Right.
And so just asking him questions, and he has so much life, and his whole life is devoted to leadership and helping leaders become the best version of themselves. And he has a book that's called Intentional Living. And one of my favorite books that I've ever read, he has a lot of books, but this is my favorite John Maxwell book by far. It's called Intentional Living. And it literally, I do a life plan every year, every 2-3 years. And in the life plan, I wanted to create a relationship with my children, my 6 girls. I wanted to create a relationship with them that by the time they were looking for a husband, a man to marry, that it was going to be really hard to find a man to marry, because I had such a great relationship with them, and was such a good example of what a man was.
Wow.
And I was reading Intentional Living, and it helped me define what it is that I wanted with my children. And it
Wow.
talked about the intentionality and what it meant and all of that. And so that's one of my favorite books. And so I'm going to, for the audience, the digital audience today, I'm going to give away 5 of those books
Wow.
for your audience. And then the second book, which is equal as awesome, not like it's not number 1 and number 2, they're number 1 and number 1. Okay. So the number 1 and number 1 is Leadership as an Identity, and it's by Crawford Loritz. And I read this book every year. I have more highlighted than not highlighted in this book.
Wow.
And this book talks about what it means to lead. And it's what it means to lead, and what it means to lead and have leadership as your identity, and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted people to see me and know that I'm a leader.
Wow.
By my actions, by my words, all of those things. So Leadership as Identity, and I'm going to give away 5 of those books.
Wow.
To your to our audience today.
That's awesome, Trey. I'm going to let them answer in just a few minutes. Matter of fact, if you just look in the comments, I know we've been doing kind of raffles throughout the day, but if you look in the comments right now, we're going to put in the comments a question about what Trey just gave us, some of these tools he's just given us. And if you just go ahead and answer those questions, we're going to ask 2 questions, one right behind the other. You're going to get a chance to respond to the first 5 people that respond to those 2 questions. Will get one of these books that Trey just mentioned. And man, what a generous gift. I know, Trey, you are all about giving and your lifestyle, and not just as a cliche or thing to talk about, but I have watched you give over and over and over, not just to us, but you've given in just so many different directions. And I think that a true mark of a great leader is a giver, and somebody who sees leadership as a servant role. And you have done that not only in your time, especially today, sharing that time with us, but also just in practicality and giving too. And so thank you so much for displaying that generosity. I'm not surprised, because I know you, but I'm just grateful that everybody else is getting a chance to get to know you as well in the same way that I do. And thank you for the wisdom that you've shared with us today. I really appreciate so much of just your time here. Many of you might not know this, but Trey has spent hours and hours and hours of just giving to us behind the scenes, helping us frame out some of these planning type tools that he's talked about here today in our organization and how to move forward. And we couldn't do it without you, Trey. So thank you so much for everything.
I want to leave with one more word really quick.
Go.
That really helped me, when I think about these things, and I talk about it often, but it's the fact that you're not defined by your past.
So good.
But it's about being real with your current reality, where I'm at right now. Because a lot of times we can often hide, or we can mistell our truth to ourselves about where we're at right now. And in pain, we're good at hiding. We're really good at hiding that, right? So being real with where I'm at right now, and then creating a desired future that I want to see in the future, and don't let the past define me, but be real with my current reality, and let my desired future propel me, pull me towards that. If you do that, you're going to be on your way to leadership, no matter where you're at in life.
That's so good, Trey. You need to write that down right now. If you're listening and you're taking notes, man, just take a minute, write that down. That is so, so good, Trey. Thank you so much again for today and every day that you have just encouraged us and built our team and helped us to really get our minds focused on the right things and in some of the most critical moments. We love you and Leslie. Please give our kids all the love too. And boy, it's good to see you, even though we're at a distance. And when the social distancing thing is over, we're going like group knuckles, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a
yeah.
thing, but we'll do something.
Sanitize the knuckles and then sanitize them again. Yeah.
And elbow bumps and all right, man. Thanks so much,
Thanks for having
Trey.
me.
Take care, and thanks again for everything.
Yes.